right now, I mean, think about it. Your brain is doing unpaid labor for search engines.
Yeah, it really is.
Like, every time you try to find a simple answer online, you are essentially forced to become a data processor.
Right.
You type in a query, and in return, you get handed this towering stack of raw data.
Just a huge mountain of links.
Exactly. And you have to mentally filter out the sponsored ads,
Yeah.
dodge the pop-ups, ignore the newsletter subscriptions.
Oh, the pop-ups are just the worst.
They really are. And then you have to cross-reference like 5 different browser tabs just to figure out something incredibly basic.
Right, it's exhausting.
We've normalized this process,
Yeah.
But what if the era of doing the internet's heavy lifting is officially over?
I mean, it is a profound shift in perspective when you realize that for the last 2 decades, the actual act of retrieving information has been incredibly high friction.
Yeah.
We have access to the sum of human knowledge, but we spend most of our time acting as an intern, just, digging through digital filing cabinets, trying to separate signal from noise.
Exactly. And that exhausting dynamic is what we are dismantling today.
Absolutely.
So for this deep dive, we are examining an analysis from the team at Peakpod AI about a tool called Perplexity AI.
Right?
And this isn't just another chatbot to play around with. It is fundamentally challenging that entire frustrating routine of searching the web.
It really is a totally different approach.
Our mission today is to figure out if this approach is actually changing the mechanics of how we interact with the internet.
Yeah, that's the big question.
Like, are the traditional search engines we've relied on since the late 90s actually becoming obsolete? Okay, let's unpack this.
Let's do it.
Because if this analysis holds up, I mean, we are talking about a total rewiring of how you and I acquire knowledge.
The terminology the analysis uses is vital here, actually. Perplexity is categorized not as a search engine, but as an answer engine.
An answer engine.
Right. For over 20 years, we have been conditioned to accept the blue links model.
Oh, yeah. The classic Google page.
Exactly. You ask a machine a question, it spits out a list of hyperlinks, and implicitly says, well, good luck, you figure it out.
Yeah, it's completely self-serve.
Right. The entire burden of reading, extracting, and synthesizing information is totally on your
The
shoulders.
complexity flips that model entirely, right? Instead of handing you a list of chores, it just hands you the answer.
Yes, directly.
But what's interesting is the mechanical recipe behind it.
Right.
It takes the conversational, natural language abilities of a large language model, like you'd see in ChatGPT, and it hardwires it directly into a real-time web crawler.
Which is the critical differentiator here.
Are.
Early AI chatbots were isolated.
Right, they were cut off from the live web.
Exactly. They were walled gardens, relying entirely on whatever massive but static data set they were originally trained on.
So if the cutoff was 2 years ago, they couldn't tell you what happened yesterday.
Exactly. But Perplexity operates on the live internet. When you ask it a question, it isn't just relying on its internal memory. It is actively browsing the web in milliseconds to pull the most current data.
So how does that actually work mechanically? I mean, I think it helps to visualize it for a second.
Yeah, analogies are good here.
Right. So instead of the traditional model, which is like being handed a map and a compass and being told to find the treasure yourself, this is an entirely different service.
It really is.
Think of it like the difference between being handed the raw ingredients for a meal versus being served the finished dish.
Oh, I like that.
Traditional search gives you the raw data, like the flour, the eggs, the sugar, and says, go bake the cake.
Right, do it yourself.
Perplexity is acting as your personal sous chef. It has already read the recipe, baked the cake, and is simply handing you a slice. But, and this is key, it keeps the recipe card on the table in case you want to check the ingredients.
What's fascinating here is how that sous chef process actually functions under the hood to alleviate information overload.
Tell me more about that.
Well, when you prompt Perplexity with something like, explain the latest advancements in solid-state batteries, it doesn't just read one article.
Yep.
Behind the scenes, it generates multiple targeted search queries, pulls the top 20 or 30 relevant web pages, and holds them all in its context window simultaneously.
Wow, all at once.
All at once. It reads them, compares them, extracts the relevant facts, and then generates a cleanly summarized answer in natural language.
That is wild.
And alongside that summary, it provides the exact sources it used, plus suggested follow-up questions to push your understanding further.
Okay, I hear that, and the sous chef analogy sounds great on paper.
But
let's be real for a second. Are people actually going to check those recipe cards?
that is the big question.
Right. If the whole appeal of an answer engine is zero friction, instantaneous answers, Human nature dictates that we are just going to read the summary and move on.
Yeah, the path of least resistance.
Exactly. Aren't we just trading the friction of searching for the very real danger of blind trust?
I see where you're going with this.
I mean, we've all seen AI confidently hallucinate facts.
Arr.
If I'm not doing the reading myself, aren't my research skills going to atrophy? Doesn't that make me lazy?
It is a totally valid skepticism. I mean, it really is.
Yeah.
But I'd argue that looking at the interface design proves otherwise.
Okay.
The architecture of tools like Perplexity actually encourages more critical thinking than traditional search.
Wait, really? How so? Because if the AI is doing the synthesizing, I feel like I'm doing less work.
You are doing less manual labor, but a totally different kind of cognitive work.
Okay, explain that.
Think about your behavior on a traditional search engine. When you are exhausted from clicking through 5 irrelevant SEO-stuffed pages.
Oh yeah, the recipe blogs where you have to read their whole life story first.
Exactly. And when you finally find a paragraph that sort of answers your question, you are highly prone to just accept it.
Right.
Why? Because you are tired. The friction to verify that one random blogger's claim is way too high. You'd have to open 3 more tabs and start the search process all over again.
That's true.
Yeah.
Fatigue definitely lowers my standards for source quality. I just want the answer.
Exactly. But with Perplexity, transparency is built directly into the answer.
Okay.
Every single sentence or claim in its summary is appended with an inline clickable footnote, like a little numbered bracket that links directly to the source.
Oh, like a Wikipedia citation.
Exactly like Wikipedia. So the friction to fact check is virtually zero.
Right.
If it claims a specific camera has a 40-hour battery life, you don't just blindly trust it, but you also don't have to hunt for the proof.
You just click the number.
You click the one right next to the claim, and you are instantly looking at the manufacturer's spec sheet. It bridges the gap between AI convenience and academic-style rigor.
But what if the top 20 pages it reads disagree with each other?
That happens a lot.
Right, because the internet's full of conflicting information. So how does a synthesized answer handle nuance without just picking the loudest voice?
That is where the synthesis mechanism really outshines traditional search. See, a standard search engine ranks results based on backlinks and keyword optimization. It doesn't actually care if the information is objectively true.
It just cares if the website is popular.
Exactly. But an answer engine, when processing conflicting data in its context window, is designed to identify those discrepancies.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Instead of just giving you one side, a good synthesis will output, source A claims this, however, source B notes this limitation.
So it surfaces the debate for you.
Yes. It elevates you from being the junior researcher doing the grueling data collection to being the managing editor evaluating the final report.
You become the editor. I really like that framing.
It changes everything.
It does, which immediately forces the biggest question, I think. Is Google obsolete?
Ah, the elephant in the room.
Right. If this transparent AI-powered synthesis is so superior for gathering information, are we watching the fall of the traditional search titan?
Looking at the landscape, the reality is much more nuanced than a simple David and Goliath story. The source's verdict is essentially, it depends entirely on the intent of your search.
Right, because not all searches are created equal.
Precisely. We have to separate navigational searches from informational searches.
Navigational meaning what exactly?
Navigational search means you already know your exact destination. You just need the digital infrastructure to get you there fastest.
Like typing Facebook login or something?
Right, or nearest pharmacy open now. You do not want a 3-paragraph AI synthesis on the history of pharmaceuticals.
No, definitely not.
You want a map with a red pin or a direct blue link. And for that utility, traditional search engines are still absolutely unmatched.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Their local indexing and direct routing are just incredibly efficient.
But Perplexity shines when the intent shifts from navigation to information.
Exactly.
Like when you don't know the destination, you just have a problem you need solved.
Yes.
The analysis we're looking at provides a really sharp framework for how users are adapting to this dual reality. They categorize it as Google for discovery, Perplexity for understanding.
Yes, that distinction is crucial.
Here's where it gets really interesting to me. That duality discovery versus understanding. It perfectly categorizes the two very different modes our brains operate in online.
Oh, absolutely.
There is the lean back internet and the lean forward internet.
I like that. Lean back versus lean forward.
Yeah, because sometimes you are in I want to browse mode.
Yeah.
You want to see a multitude of options. You want to stumble upon an eccentric blog. You want to visually scan what's out there.
Right.
That is discovery.
Right.
But then there's the lean forward mode. You are trying to figure out why a specific line of code is failing, or you need to understand the geopolitical context of a breaking news story.
You don't want to browse 10 websites for that.
Exactly. You want comprehension.
And it is incredibly rare in the tech world to see a new tool carve out a completely new behavioral habit right alongside an established giant.
Yeah, usually it's just a monopoly.
Usually these platforms fight a winner-takes-all battle, but this is proving not to be a zero-sum game for the user. You can keep the traditional map for when you want to explore the city and see the sights, but you hire the guide when you have a specific problem to solve and a deadline to meet.
That's a great way to look at it.
They serve two entirely different cognitive needs.
And when we look at who is actually leaning into this understanding tool, it's exactly who you'd expect.
Oh, yeah.
The data shows massive adoption among students, creators, entrepreneurs, developers, researchers. Essentially, anyone whose daily profession requires them to process large amounts of information quickly.
The practical applications are fascinating because they all center around reducing cognitive load.
Right.
We're talking about doing academic literature reviews, running complex market analyses, learning entirely new technical subjects from scratch.
Or just catching up on the news. Right?
Exactly, without having to read 10 different op-eds.
Well, let's get highly specific here, because saving time is a tech buzzword that gets thrown around constantly.
It really does.
So if you are an entrepreneur or a professional listening right now, how does moving from a traditional search to an answer engine actually translate into mathematically saved hours?
That's the real test.
Like, what does the collapse of that workflow funnel actually look like in practice?
Let's break down the exact cognitive steps using a real-world example from the source. Say you need a new CRM platform for a 10-person company.
Okay, sure.
In the traditional workflow, you search something like best CRM for small business.
Yep.
And step 1, you click on 5 different listicles.
Right.
Step 2, you spend mental energy trying to filter out the affiliate link bias of the authors.
Because they're all getting paid for those links.
Exactly. Step 3, you open the pricing pages for Salesforce, HubSpot, and Zoho in separate tabs.
And your browser's already getting cluttered.
Oh, totally.
Right.
Step 4, you physically create a spreadsheet.
Right.
Step 5, you jump between tabs, extracting the pricing tiers, the email integration limits, the onboarding costs, and you type them into your sheet.
That sounds exhausting.
That entire process, clicking, assessing bias, extracting data, mapping it to a readable format, it requires significant working memory. It easily takes 45 minutes to an hour of focused effort.
Easily. And by the end of it, you have 15 tabs open and your brain feels fried.
Exactly. Now, let's look at the answer engine workflow.
Okay, how does that look?
You open Perplexity and you write one detailed prompt. Compare the top 3 CRM tools for a business with 10 employees. Focus specifically on monthly pricing, email integration limits, and hidden onboarding fees. Output the comparison in a table format.
Just one prompt.
Just one prompt. And in roughly 10 seconds, the AI does all the secret backend queries.
Wow.
It reads the listicles, it goes directly to the pricing pages, it extracts the specific variables you asked for, and it generates the table.
That's incredible.
It hands you the finished spreadsheet with footnote links to the exact pricing pages so you can verify the numbers.
So you just turned a 45-minute multi-tab extraction project into a 3-minute editorial review.
Exactly. That is how it returns actual quantifiable hours to your week. It entirely collapses the data gathering funnel.
Collapsing the data gathering funnel. I mean, when you apply that to every micro question you have throughout a workday, researching a competitor's new product line, summarizing a dense PDF report, troubleshooting a software bug, those saved minutes compound into hours incredibly fast.
I really do.
You are outsourcing the mental RAM required to hold all those tabs in your head.
Yep.
But, this massive shift in our daily workflow points towards something even larger.
It does.
This isn't just about a new productivity hack. It feels like a philosophical shift in how humanity is interacting with the web as a whole.
It is a paradigm shift. We are slowly but definitively moving away from the act of searching for information ourselves.
Right.
Instead, we are transitioning to a model where we ask an intelligence to organize and explain that information for us.
Searching versus asking. It sounds like a subtle semantic difference, but it fundamentally redefines our relationship with the machine.
Think about what a search engine really is. For decades, the internet has essentially been an infinitely deep, chaotic filing cabinet.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
And search engines were simply highly optimized index cards. They told you which drawer to open and which folder to look in. but they couldn't read the files to you.
Right, you had to do the reading.
What we're seeing now is the internet evolving from a passive filing cabinet into a deeply knowledgeable, interactive assistant sitting across the desk from you.
So what does this all mean for the listener? I mean, if the internet is waking up and becoming conversational, how do we need to adapt?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it means that the fundamental digital literacy skills you need to thrive are changing right under our feet.
Oh, wow.
For the last 20 years, the premium digital skill was Google Foo.
Oh, yeah. Knowing exactly what to type.
Right. You had to learn how to speak like a machine. You had to memorize the right Boolean operators, figure out which keywords would trigger the algorithm, and learn how to visually scan search engine results pages to dodge the SEO spam.
We really all learned a very specific robotic dialect just to get the machine to give us what we wanted.
Precisely. But in a conversational web, speaking like a machine becomes entirely obsolete because the machine now speaks like us.
That makes total sense.
The new digital literacy is no longer about finding the right link. It is about asking the right question.
Asking the right question.
It is the ability to clearly articulate your problem, provide the necessary context, and structure your prompt so the AI gives you the exact synthesis you need. The better you become at communicating your intent to the assistant, the more powerful the entirety of the internet becomes for you.
Wow. The skill is no longer finding the link, but articulating the question. That is a massive mental pivot.
It really is.
Okay, let's wrap this up because we've covered some serious ground today.
We definitely have.
What we've seen by examining Perplexity AI is that it is fundamentally reimagining how we discover knowledge online. It takes the conversational fluidity of an AI, hardwires it to leave web data, and crucially, provides the transparent citations necessary to elevate us from researchers to editors.
Well summarized.
Whether it fully replaces traditional search for you, or just becomes a powerful new sous chef in your workflow when you need deep comprehension, one thing is abundantly clear. The era of doing the internet's heavy lifting is ending. We are officially moving from searching the web to conversing with it.
And as you adapt to that transition, I want to leave you with a thought to mull over, building on this idea of a frictionless, conversational internet.
Okay, let's hear it.
If the future of knowledge retrieval is an AI instantly summarizing and explaining everything perfectly for us, giving us exactly the answers we ask for, what happens to the serendipity of discovery?
Oh, wow.
When we no longer have to sift through the wrong links or accidentally wander through a bizarre, tangent-filled blog post we never intended to click, do we risk losing those unexpected aha moments?
That's a really good point.
Those happy accidents that occur precisely because we got a little lost in the data are often what spark our greatest creative ideas. If the internet becomes a perfect answer machine, do we lose the magic of the search?
That is a brilliant and honestly slightly terrifying question to end on. Because as frustrating as digging through all those open tabs and pop-ups can be, sometimes wandering off the map is exactly how you find something entirely new.
Exactly.
Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Keep refining your questions, and as always, stay curious.